You are listening to the Becoming the Wealthy You podcast with Jermaine Foley. If you're a woman who makes good money in your career or business, but you're not building wealth like you want to, then you're in the right place. In this podcast, you'll learn how to stop overspending, break free from the cycle of debt, save lots of cash, and become the wealthy woman you were born to be. Let's dive in. Well, hello there. Welcome back to the podcast. Okay, so before we dive into today's episode, I want to personally invite you to sign up and register for my Stop Overspending Masterclass that is happening on Sunday, April 19th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you've been paying attention for the last couple of weeks, you know that we've been going through the different spending patterns, and we're doing all of that so that we can lead up to the Stop Overspending Masterclass, where we're going to unpack all of it. We're going to put it all together and really talk about how you can start changing the pattern or the habit of overspending. I believe that overspending is the biggest wealth stealer, because I don't care how much money you make. If you spend more than you make, if you overspend, if you do not pay attention to that, you will find yourself broke. You will find yourself feeling behind. You will find yourself not feeling as far along as you think you should be. And this is true if you make 100K, multiple six figures, or if you make under 75K. It doesn't matter. If your spending is out of control, then it's very likely you're going to be stressed financially and you're not going to be able to build wealth like you want to. If you're overspending, the likelihood of you being stuck in the cycle of credit card debt is very high. If you're overspending, the likelihood of you not having 3 to 6 months of expenses in an emergency fund, or what I call a life happens fund, is very low, right? If you are overspending, it's very unlikely that you're maxing out your 401k or that you're really investing at the level that you really need to be in order to retire a millionaire, right? And so we must get our spending under control. Now, here's the caveat. You can have your spending under control and still enjoy your life. My philosophy is that you can do both. You can build wealth and enjoy life at the same time. So just because you stop overspending, it doesn't mean that you stop spending on what's important to you. And so that is one of the things I'm really good at, is helping my clients identify what's most important to them in their lives, so that they can spend generously and guilt-free on those things, and then stop overspending and impulse spending and emotionally spending on things that don't matter. And many times, it's not that we have a spending problem, it's that we have an under-feeling problem. Most of the times we're spending to make ourselves feel better. And I say it over and over again, and it's not your money's job to make you feel better. That is an inside job, right? You cannot use external things to make an internal difference in your life. And so the Stop Overspending Masterclass is going to really help you get control of your spending so that you can build wealth, so that you can stop stressing about money all the time. The Masterclass is happening on Sunday, April 19th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can go to the show notes to register and save your seat, or simply go to jermainefoley.com/class. That's Jermaine with a G, Foley.com/class. And I cannot wait to see you all there. It will be on Zoom, but it will be the type of Zoom where you're not on camera. So you will not be on camera, but you will have an opportunity to ask questions. I will be there live, and I can't wait to spend some time with you other than on the podcast. It'll be fun. So make sure you sign up and put it on your calendar so that you can actually attend live. And then if you have a girlfriend or a coworker or a sister that you think could benefit from the class, please, please, please invite them as well. I would love to have them join us. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into today's episode. So last week we talked about 2 patterns that show up when life is feeling good. That's the experience enhancer and the rewarder. And if you didn't get a chance to listen to that episode, it was just last week. I believe it was episode 170, so you can go back and listen to that. But today we're going to talk about a pattern that shows up in a completely different place. So it's not when you're bored, it's not when you're stressed, it's not when you're celebrating, but it's in relationships. And this one is the overgiver. And for a lot of us women, this is one of the hardest patterns to see because it often looks like we're just being generous, we're just loving on people, we're just being ourselves, right? But it can quickly turn into overgiving in a way that sacrifices your financial well-being and your peace of mind. So just like many of the spending patterns we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks, the overgiver shows up in two different ways. And they're both important to understand because they come from two different places. So version one of the overgiver is the depleted giver. This is the one where you do everything for everyone else. And so you feel like this right here is for me. So I do everything for everyone else. I'm going to buy this for me. I'm going to purchase this thing for me. This version of the overgiver is the one who is constantly pouring into everyone else. You're the one who handles everything at work, at home, and in your relationships. You're like a superwoman, the super mom, the one who everyone counts on. You're always giving, always showing up, always taking care of things and everyone else. But the problem is you're not filling your own cup. You're pouring and pouring and pouring until you're depleted. And at some point, something has to give. And your brain says, I need something that's just for me. And that's where the overspending can come in. You buy something to treat yourself. You do something that feels like it's just for you. But here's the problem. You're trying to use something that's external to fill an internal void. And that never works. Just like I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, it never works. It might feel good temporarily though, right? And your brain remembers that. It's like, I just need a little break. So it remembers that, oh, if I distract myself, if I spend, if I buy this thing, I will feel good. But remember, it's only temporary. You get a dopamine hit, you get that splash of excitement because you bought something, but shortly after, you're right back to feeling depleted again. Because the real issue isn't a lack of stuff. It's the lack of being fulfilled in a meaningful way. It is the lack of filling up your own cup. It is from overgiving, overfunctioning, and overing in all areas of life. And listen, we're human beings, not robots. There's only so much we can give without replenishing ourselves. And so if you don't get what I just said, you're going to keep trying to fill yourself up with something external. And then when you do that, the cycle will continue. You'll give, you'll deplete, you'll spend to feel better, and then you'll be right back where you started. I have a client who described this cycle perfectly in her life. And the way it has played out is like this. She makes good money, she saves, but she is definitely an overgiver, an overfunctioner. She does everything for everyone except for herself. And how she copes with that is she tells herself, this right here is just for me. So she buys things, and literally she said, I get boxes delivered to my home and I don't even remember what it is. Sometimes I just let the boxes pile up. I don't even open them because I really don't care, right? The thrill is over and I don't even have the energy to open up those boxes to see what's in them, right? And you might be thinking, okay, Jermaine, what's wrong with that? Well, here's what's wrong with that. She makes good money. She's saving, but here's what's happening. All of those purchases, they go on a credit card. And this is the cycle that she's in. Every time she gets a bonus, she pays off the credit card. She runs it up to about 10K, then she pays it off. And then it's like, oh my gosh, here I go again. Maybe the bonus isn't as high. How am I going to pay it off? She takes out a 401k loan and then she runs it up again. So now she has the 401k loan to pay off plus credit card debt to pay off again, right? And then guess what she's done? She's done a 0% interest transfer. So now she has the credit card debt, the new credit card debt, because she ran that up again. The empty credit card, once she paid it off, she ran it back up again. She's got the 401k loan, and now she's got the 0% interest credit card. So she's digging herself in a deeper and deeper hole. And again, she's someone who's smart. She's someone who has an amazing career. She's someone who also overfunctions in her life. And the way she copes with that is by buying things instead of getting to the root cause of why she's overgiving, why she's overfunctioning, and figuring out a way to really fulfill herself, to be fulfilled, to feel joy again, to be not only a mom and a worker and a wife, but also just a human, a woman that enjoys who she is. And this is what we're working on together, and she's making amazing strides through this. But this is the kind of work that people come to me wanting to do, right? So from the outside looking in, her life looks amazing, but she knows there's deeper things going on. And it's sinking her, not just financially, but mentally, the stress and the beating herself up because she keeps doing the same thing even after she says she's not going to do it anymore. So this is what really happens when you're in this overgiving cycle, when you're the depleted giver. Next, let's talk about version 2. So we're still talking about the overgiver, but now this is the people pleaser. This is the woman who just wants to make everyone else happy. So the second version of the overgiver shows up when you give to others financially, not just monetarily like giving them money, but you buy them gifts and experiences and things like that. This is where spending becomes a way to try to make other people feel good in a way that you express love to other people. Now, there's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with giving gifts during birthdays and holidays and celebrations, right? We want to do that. It feels good to be generous. It feels good to give gifts sometimes. But when you're doing it from obligation, when you're doing it from people pleasing, because you want other people to feel love, you want them to feel special, you want them to feel cared for, and spending is the only way you express that, that's when the problem can really creep in, right? Because it will go beyond just being generous and it becomes people pleasing. It becomes your go-to to show love when there's so many other ways you can do it. And people pleasing at its core is all about trying to manage or control someone else's emotional state. So if I do this, then they'll be happy. If I give this, then they'll feel loved. If I show up this way, then they won't be disappointed. So instead of setting a boundary or a quote unquote budget, you give more, you spend more, you stretch beyond what you originally planned for. And I see this all the time. I actually had a client who set a very clear amount for how much she wanted to spend on someone for a special occasion. We came up with the amount together. It was a generous amount and it left her still with plenty of money in her account so that if she wanted to do something for herself, she still had spending money left. So the plan was to take them out to dinner. So she did. She took them out to dinner and she even included other people in the dinner and paid for them. And that experience alone used up the amount she planned. But then she had this thought when she was about to hand them the card. So she was going to hand them a greeting card and she had this thought, I can't give them an empty card. So she pulled out her wallet, took out cash that was her cash for the rest of the month to have in her pocket in case she wanted to do something, and she put it in the card. And so she left that situation feeling financially depleted because now it's like, oh my gosh, I put all my spending money in that card and I spent the amount that I was planning to spend on them, even though her original plan was not to do that. So here's the thing. She did this out of love. There was nothing wrong with giving, right? There's never anything wrong with giving, but you have to not only do it out of love for the other person, you also need to do it out of love for yourself, where you're not putting yourself in a financially stressful situation, where you're not putting yourself in a financial bind. So how can you show up and love and give for them and for you? You have to include yourself in the equation and not let trying to make other people happy override that. So let's talk about what's underneath this pattern. Both versions of the overgiver are rooted in imbalance. In the first version, you're overgiving your time, your energy, and your capacity, and not filling yourself back up. In the second version, you're overgiving to others, often at the expense of yourself. And this is usually financially. The second version is usually financial overgiving. And underneath both of them is this idea that giving more will fix something. It will make you feel better. It will make them feel better. But giving without boundaries always comes at a cost financially. But not just financially, energetically and emotionally as well. And the truth is, it is not your job. I said it earlier, I'm going to say it again. It is not your job to make other people happy. You can contribute to someone's experience. You can show them love. You can be generous, but you cannot control someone else's emotional state long term. And when you try to, it's exhausting. And then you end up compromising your own well-being and happiness when you do it. So here's the shift. The goal here is not to stop being generous. It is not to stop giving. It is to bring balance into how you give so that there is love for the other person and love for yourself. This might look like setting a limit ahead of time and honoring it, even when you don't want to, even when your brain is like, you should do more, right? Because sometimes we're just used to overgiving, that is just our default way. And we end up overgiving because we don't want to feel bad about giving less. But again, it's okay to be uncomfortable in those kinds of situations. So set a limit and honor it, okay? Give within a boundary that feels good for you. Check in with yourself and ask, does this actually feel good to me? Am I doing this out of love and generosity, or am I doing it out of expectation and obligation? Because those emotions feel very, very differently. You always want to give from a place of cheerfulness, joy, and generosity, never from guilt or obligation. The Bible even speaks about being a cheerful giver. So check in with yourself and see what the feelings are behind it. Are you giving out of love, generosity, joy, or are you giving out of obligation or guilt? Because when giving is actually healthy, honestly, it doesn't leave you depleted. So here's something to think about this week. Which version of the overgiver do you see most in yourself? The one who's constantly pouring into everyone else and then spending to fill yourself back up? Or the one who financially gives to others? It may be its money, maybe it's gifts, sometimes beyond what actually feels good for you. And when you give, are you including yourself in the equation, or are you leaving yourself out? Just notice it. Okay, are you giving from overflow, or are you giving from depletion? That's what you want to sit with this week, and that's what you want to notice. Next week, we're going to talk about 2 patterns that are influenced not just by emotion, but also by your environment. We're going to talk about the social spender and the convenience spender, and how your surroundings and your lifestyle can quietly shape your spending in ways that you might not even realize. And so that's what we're going to tackle next week. So be sure to join me. If you have any friends that you think could benefit from listening to the show, to these spending pattern episodes, please invite them. If you haven't had an opportunity to leave a review for the show, and it's a show that's really helping you, please go to Apple and leave a review. When you leave a review, it really tells the algorithm that more people should be listening, and Apple will push it out to more people. Okay. So that's my ask, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye. Hey, if money is the one area of life you just can't seem to figure out, even though you make good money, you're not alone. That's why you're invited to book a complimentary one-to-one money consultation with me so that we can figure out how to solve your biggest money challenges. To sign up, simply go to jermainefoley.com/consult or check out the show notes. Hope to meet you soon.